The Mummelsee lay still and black, like an endless void, framed by the shadows of ancient fir trees. The wind had fallen silent, and the chill of the night seemed to freeze every movement. No one dared to approach the lake in the deep black forest at this hour, for everyone in the village knew the warnings. If you hear her voice, don't turn around. If you see her light, run. And if she whispers your name, you're lost. It was one of those nights when even the animals fell silent, as the first mournful song echoed across the lake. A soft weeping drifted like mist through the trees until it reached the village. The old women hastily shut their shutters, and the children crawled, trembling under their blankets. But one man listened. Jacob, a young man who had always dismissed the stories as mere fairy tales, stood at the lake's edge. The words of the elders echoed in his mind. The Whitelady is no fairy tale, but a curse those who follow her are never seen again. Yet Jacob didn't believe in ghosts. He only believed in what he could see. And at that moment, he saw it. A flickering light dancing above the lake, like a lantern swaying in the darkness. The whisper began, soft, yet piercing. "Come to me, I need you." Jacob felt an invisible hand tugging at his mind, urging him closer. But deep within, another voice screamed, "Run!" But he didn't run. He took a step closer. Centuries ago, when the Black Forest was still wild and untamed, a beautiful girl named Alena lived in a small village near the Mummelsee. She was known for her kind heart, her melodic laughter, and a voice that seemed to pierce even the forest's stillness. Men from near and far vied for her favor, but her heart belonged to a young woodcutter named Marcus, with whom she planned her future. But Alena's beauty did not go unnoticed. Deep beneath the lake dwelled the Waterman, a powerful but cruel being who ruled over the surrounding waters. According to legend, he had once been human, but had sold his soul for eternal life, a life that bound him to the darkness of the deep. The Waterman desired Alena and vowed to make her his bride at any cost. One clear summer evening, as the villagers celebrated a festival, Alena slipped away to the lake. She wanted to weave a garland of flowers to give to Marcus. As she knelt by the shore, holding the flowers in her hands, an icy wind suddenly rose. The lake, calm moments before, began to churn. A dark hand, large and cold as stone, emerged from the water, seized Alena, and dragged her into the depths. Alena awoke in a crystal palace beneath the water's surface. The Waterman had pulled her into his world, forcing her to remain by his side. He showered her with treasures, jewels, and dresses that shimmered like liquid light. But none of it mattered to Alena. She only wanted to return to her family and to Marcus. The Waterman grew furious at her rejection. In his rage, he cursed her. She would forever guard the lake, unable to return to the world of the living, yet never fully part of his dark realm. She became the Whitelady, a shadow of herself, doomed to wander the nights alone, searching for a freedom she would never find. Soon, villagers began reporting strange occurrences. Nighttime wanderers heard a mournful voice calling to them. Those who followed it vanished without a trace, and their lifeless bodies were found days later on the shore, their eyes wide with terror. Others claimed to see a shimmering figure hovering over the water, surrounded by a cold white light. Marcus, unable to accept Alena's loss, decided to rescue her. He boarded a small boat and rowed to the middle of the lake, where she had last been seen. Suddenly, a figure rose from the water. Alena, clad in a gown of mist, her eyes glowing like moonlight. "Go back, Marcus," she whispered, her voice barely human. "I am no longer the one you loved." But Marcus refused. He reached for her hand, but at that moment, a dark force pulled him into the depths. His scream echoed through the night, and the villagers watching from the shore fled, horrified by what they had seen. From that day on, the lake was deemed cursed. The villagers no longer dared to approach it, let alone enter its waters. It was said that the Whitelady sought every soul she could offer to the Waterman, hoping to break her own curse. Wanderers who strayed near the lake spoke of an icy chill that suddenly enveloped them, and a faint weeping that drifted through the mist. Years later, a priest came to the village and heard the legend. He was convinced he could free Alena's soul. Armed with a silver cross and holy water, he ventured to the lake. He recited prayers and challenged the Waterman, but what he encountered surpassed his darkest fears. Throughout the centuries, travelers and locals alike have reported strange symbols appearing near the lake. Carvings of spirals, crescent moons, and claw-like marks are etched into the rocks surrounding the water. Some say these markings are the language of the lake spirit, warnings to those who linger too close. Others believe they are remnants of ancient rituals performed to appease the lake and keep the waterman's hunger at bay. One particularly eerie tale involves a group of treasure hunters who sought the legendary riches hidden in the depths of the Mummelsee. They found a golden chalice marked with strange runes, but as they pulled it from the water, the lake erupted in fury. Witnesses claimed the treasure hunters were dragged beneath the surface, and the chalice was never seen again. Local folklore insists that the Mummelsee is not merely a lake, but a gateway, a threshold to a realm of restless, tormented souls. On mist-shrouded nights, shadowy figures are said to rise from its depths, their movements slow and deliberate, as if beckoning the living to join them in their eternal misery. The Waterman, the lake's master and tormentor, is an enigma born of fear. Some say he was once human, a man who sought dominion over nature's might, but the lake demanded his soul as payment. Others whisper he is a spirit forged from the anguish of countless drowned lives, a vengeful force that thrives on despair. His presence chills the air, and those who approach the lake at night speak of an oppressive silence that presses against their lungs, as if the world itself holds its breath. When angered, his rage spills out in violent storms that churn the waters into a chaotic frenzy. Even the animals avoid the shore when the Waterman stirs. Jacob stood at the edge of the lake, his breath visible in the icy mist that crawled toward him like skeletal fingers. The voice was louder now, low and mournful, but tinged with urgency. "Help me, Jacob. Come closer." The dancing light flickered like a living flame, its glow weaving patterns on the black surface of the water. Each step he took felt heavier, as though the earth itself sought to hold him back. Then it came, a piercing, unearthly scream that sliced through the silence. From the mist emerged a figure, translucent and shimmering like frost on glass. It was her, the Whitelady. Her eyes, pools of endless sorrow, locked onto his. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Stop. Do not come closer. You cannot save me, but you can still escape." Yet Jacob was already ensnared. Her mournful beauty, her outstretched hands, he couldn't resist. He stepped forward and reached for her, and in that instant, the water erupted with a deafening roar. A colossal shadow loomed behind her, its form shifting and monstrous. The Waterman had risen, his eyes cold as the void. his jagged grin promising oblivion. Jacob's scream was cut short as the darkness swallowed him whole, leaving only ripples on the lake's surface. When morning came, Jacob's coat lay neatly folded on the shore, but he was gone. His name joined the growing list of the lost. His story another warning to those who dare tread too close. In the nights that followed, villagers spoke of two ghostly lights hovering over the lake. One was pale and cold, a white flame that flickered with sorrow. The other burned dimly, like a fading ember on the edge of extinguishing. Those brave or foolish enough to watch swore they saw the shapes of a man and woman, entwined in a mournful dance, bound together in the Waterman's cursed realm. Local folklore insists that the Mummelsee is not merely a lake, but a gateway, a threshold to a realm of restless, tormented souls. On mist-shrouded nights, shadowy figures are said to rise from its depths, their movements slow and deliberate, as if beckoning the living to join them in their eternal misery. The legend of the Mummelsee remains a haunting reminder of the lake's cruel power. It is not merely a story, but a shadow that lingers in the minds of all who hear it, a whisper from the depths, urging them to stay away. Yet the lake waits, patient and silent, for the next soul foolish enough to heed its call.